Baseball is a game of numbers, but some numbers rise above the rest, etched into history like sacred scripture or the 100. A batting average so rare, so unreachable, that only one man in the modern era ever touched it. His name was Ted Williams.
Hitter who,
In 1941, with the world on the brink of war, Williams stepped into the batter's box and refused to settle for anything less than perfection. He was brash, brilliant, and utterly consumed with the art of hitting. To some, he was arrogant. To others, he was a genius with a bat in his hands. But behind every swing was a question that still lingers today. Was Ted Williams simply the best hitter of his generation, or was he the greatest pure hitter to ever live? This is the story of obsession, sacrifice, and one man's relentless pursuit of immortality. A boy from San Diego, hardship and obsession. Ted Williams came from a childhood marked by absence and struggle. His father was rarely around, and his mother's devotion to the Salvation Army left little room for nurturing. In the quiet gaps of family life, young Ted discovered baseball as both refuge and obsession. At North Park Playground, he practiced until the light disappeared and his hands were raw. He wasn't simply swinging a bat, he was constructing a future. The discipline hardened him, shaping a boy who refused to settle for mediocrity. Where most children played for fun, Ted played with an intensity that bordered on fanaticism. He was crafting not just skill, but character, a determination that would carry him far beyond San Diego's dusty fields. The moment destiny knocked, discovery of a prodigy. By his teenage years, Williams was already different. His swing was unusually long and fluid, his eye for the strike zone uncanny. Coaches at Herbert Hoover High quickly realized they were witnessing something rare, a hitter who treated every pitch like a puzzle to solve. While classmates chased carefree distractions, Ted studied mechanics, rehearsing in front of mirrors, chasing the perfect arc of bat through ball. Destiny arrived when Eddie Collins, the Red Sox scout, saw him play. Collins didn't just see a promising hitter, he saw a prodigy. Williams signed for $1,000, a modest sum, but what mattered was the dream it unlocked. Ted's declaration was audacious yet sincere. He wanted to be known as the greatest hitter who ever lived. To some, it was arrogance. To him, it was prophecy. That bold ambition lit the path toward Boston, where he would soon redefine hitting itself. The kid becomes a star. Scientific hitting. When Ted Williams arrived with the Boston Red Sox in 1939, he was just 20 years old, but already carried himself with the confidence of a veteran. Teammates nicknamed him the Kid, not just for his youth, but for his boundless energy, his relentless questions, and his eagerness to perfect his swing. From the start, he was more than just another talented rookie. Williams dissected the craft of hitting with the precision of a scientist. He studied pitchers the way a chess master studies opponents, memorizing patterns, tendencies, and weaknesses. He charted the strike zone into 77 distinct cells, calculating his batting average in each, refusing to swing at anything outside his chosen areas. This discipline was maddening to pitchers and baffling to fans who didn't understand why he would take so many walks. Yet his rookie numbers silenced critics. A .327 average, 31 home runs, and 145 RBIs. What separated Williams was not only natural talent, but an analytical mind that treated hitting as both art and science. He elevated the batter's box into a laboratory where precision met power, proving that greatness is not random, it is engineered. 1941. The immortal season. If Williams' arrival made him a star, the 1941 season made him a legend. Entering the final day of the season, he was batting .3995, enough to round to 400. His manager offered to bench him to preserve history, but Williams refused. "If I'm going to be a 400 hitter," he said, "I'm going to be a 400 hitter all the way." Under immense pressure, he stepped into a double-header against Philadelphia and went 6 for 8, finishing with a .406 average. No player since has reached that mark. That same year, Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak captivated the nation and won him the MVP, overshadowing Williams' achievement. Yet when examined closely, Williams' feat was even more remarkable, sustaining excellence over an entire season, not just a streak. He outperformed DiMaggio in batting average, power, and on-base percentage, but the press favored the quiet DiMaggio over the outspoken Williams. Still, Ted's .406 remains immortal, a standard untouched for more than 8 decades. It was not merely a number. It was a declaration that discipline, courage, and obsession could defy the impossible. War and sacrifice. The missing years. Just as Williams reached the prime of his career, war pulled him away from baseball. After the 1942 season, he enlisted in the Navy and trained as a fighter pilot, losing 3 full seasons of his career. He could have claimed a deferment as his family's sole provider, but instead, he chose duty over personal glory. When he returned in 1946, questions lingered. Could a hitter sit out years of live pitching and still dominate? Williams answered with authority, batting .342, smashing 38 home runs, and carrying the Red Sox to the World Series. Then, in 1952, when most veterans had long since been discharged, Williams was recalled to service during the Korean War. At 33, he flew 39 combat missions, surviving a crash landing and serving alongside John Glenn. Once again, 2 seasons vanished. Yet Ted never complained. He understood that some responsibilities rise above statistics. Still, it is impossible not to wonder. With nearly 5 full seasons lost, how much higher might his totals have soared? He might well have passed 600 home runs, perhaps even challenged Ruth's records. His story is not simply about what he achieved, but also about what he willingly sacrificed. Battles beyond the field, media, fans, and loneliness. For all his brilliance, Williams often found himself at war not just with pitchers, but with people. In Boston, fans adored him one day and jeered him the next. Sensitive to criticism, he carried slights like scars. One infamous moment came when, after being booed for striking out, he spat toward the crowd. The press seized on it, branding him arrogant and ungrateful. Headlines dissected his every failure, questioning his defense, his clutch hitting, even his attitude. Frustrated, Williams stopped speaking to reporters altogether, which only fueled more hostility. Meanwhile, DiMaggio was celebrated as graceful and classy, the contrast magnifying Williams' rough edges. Beneath the statistics, there was a lonely man, misunderstood by the city he carried on his shoulders. Greatness is often accompanied by isolation, and for Ted, the cheers and boos were 2 sides of the same coin. He poured himself back into the one thing he could control, his swing. The ageless swing, defying time. Age slowed most ball players, but Williams defied time. In 1957, at 38, he hit .388 to claim another batting title. A year later, at 40, he became the oldest player ever to win a batting crown, batting .328. His swing remained as smooth and efficient as ever, long but balanced, powerful yet precise. He could still turn on a 95-mile-per-hour fastball or wait back on a breaking pitch and drive it to the opposite field. Fans watched in awe as the Splendid Splinter seemed immune to decline. Even as his body aged, his eye and mechanics remained sharp, a testament to discipline and years of refinement. In an era before advanced training regimens, Williams proved that technique and knowledge could outlast time. He showed that genius at the plate was not fleeting, but enduring, surviving the erosion of youth. The farewell home run, Gods do not answer letters. On September 28, 1960, Fenway Park felt heavy with farewell. Only a little more than 10,000 fans came, Boston long eliminated from contention. The sky was gray, the mood subdued. But Williams gave them one last gift. In his final at-bat, facing Jack Fisher, the count went to 1-1. Fisher fired a fastball, and Williams unleashed the swing that had haunted pitchers for 2 decades. The ball soared into the bullpen for his 521st home run. The crowd erupted, begging for a curtain call, but Williams never returned to the field. He jogged into the dugout, head down, as if to say the bat had spoken enough. John Updike, in his immortal essay, captured it best: "Gods do not answer letters." Williams left the game on his own terms, with power, with grace, with silence. It was a farewell worthy of a legend who had lived by his bat alone. Numbers that defy imagination. Williams' career statistics read like something out of myth. A .482 on-base percentage, the highest in baseball history. A .634 slugging percentage, second only to Babe Ruth. 6 batting titles. 2 Triple Crowns. Incredibly, he reached base safely in 84% of the games he played, 2,292 in total, failing to reach base in just 367 of them. In 1947, he nearly accomplished the impossible, hitting .400 while also winning the Triple Crown. He missed the mark by only a handful of hits. Time and again, he lost batting titles despite averages above .340, a reminder of how absurdly high his standards were. These numbers invite awe but also demand reflection. In today's game, where strikeouts are common and batting averages plummet, Williams's precision and discipline feel almost otherworldly. He struck out just 27 times in 456 at-bats during his .406 season. In contrast, modern sluggers strike out more than 150 times in a single year. Williams was not simply productive, he was nearly automatic. The science of hitting, passing the torch. For Ted, greatness was not just personal achievement. It was a discipline he sought to pass on. In retirement, he wrote The Science of Hitting, still regarded as the essential text for aspiring hitters. Unlike vague advice, Williams broke down hitting into mechanics, strategy, and psychology. He explained how to recognize pitches, control the strike zone, and prepare mentally for each at-bat. Players like Tony Gwynn and Wade Boggs studied his teachings, and modern hitting philosophies still echo his principles. As a manager of the Washington Senators, he guided Frank Howard and others to unlock hidden potential. Even into his 80s, young players sought his wisdom. Williams' legacy extended far beyond his own numbers. It reshaped how generations approached the craft of hitting. His message was simple yet profound. Discipline and preparation win at bats, not brute strength alone. A voice for justice, beyond baseball. Williams' influence extended beyond the chalk lines of the diamond. At his Hall of Fame induction in 1966, he used the moment not for himself, but to demand recognition for Negro League stars who had been denied entry into Cooperstown. His voice carried weight, and in the years that followed, those players were finally honored. It was a reminder that greatness carries responsibility, to lift others, to use one's platform for justice. Williams, often portrayed as prickly and difficult, revealed a deeper dimension. A man unwilling to let history ignore talent because of prejudice. In this way, his legacy transcends batting averages and home runs. He left behind not only a record book full of impossibilities, but also an example of moral courage. Ted Williams proved that the measure of a man is not just in what he accomplishes, but in what he defends. Ted Williams was more than numbers on a page or headlines in a paper. He was the embodiment of obsession, a craftsman who treated every at-bat like a duel, and every swing like a stroke of art. He stood tall in an era of legends, and left behind a standard that has never been matched. His 406 season remains a mountaintop. No one has climbed again, and his discipline at the plate still shapes the way hitters are taught today. But beyond the records, beyond the battles with the press and the sacrifices of war, Ted Williams' story is about the relentless pursuit of perfection, even when perfection is impossible. He showed that greatness is born of struggle, sacrifice, and unyielding focus. Decades later, his swing still echoes across history, reminding us why they called him the Splendid Splinter, the last man to hit 400, and perhaps the greatest pure hitter who ever lived.